are live. We are alive.
We are alive, and we're
Mark,
alive.
we're both. And it takes a couple seconds for people to get on.
It does.
But we were just having a little chat about our visit to Faribault the other day.
It was a blast.
There was so many different things going on down there. I mean, we had the buildings of the old state hospital. We had the large cemetery with no graves were marked.
Yeah.
Unmarked graves.
I wish we could have a plot of that. I mean,
I know. We have a lot of research before we go down. We found a toy cemetery.
yes, it was.
And some of those toys were like 50 plus years old.
It was pretty.
That was weird. And what else did we find?
Found a hole in the ground.
Holy bucket, did we find a hole in the
I'm
ground.
not going to tell you where it is.
Oh, yeah, we can't give away all the nuts and bolts yet because we're heading back down there. But believe it or not, we got some
You got some good EVP.
some good news. The fact that in October, we are going to be having a investigation and kind of a little para expo down in Faribault. And people can come down there, check the place out, and potentially go on an investigation with us.
Yeah, we'll have it all set up.
Yeah.
Nicely and
So keep your ears. We're going to keep letting you know as we go along. That's just kind of a teaser.
Hi, Steph.
Hi, Steph. Hi, Rita.
Hi, Rita.
And so just a little tease about what's coming up. Here we got in a week or so. Hello, Melissa.
Hi, Mel.
The 9th, right? The 9th of April.
Yeah, that's just 2
We're heading out
weekends.
to...
No, 2 weekends.
Excuse me. I'm so excited about it. We're heading out to Humber, Wisconsin, to a haunted hotel out there. And there's still space to come on out. I'm telling you right now, if you want to see a very interesting haunted hotel, send me a message immediately following this, or just send it now, send it anytime. We have openings. You can stay in a room even in the hotel. There's going to be investigations, the works. So anybody that's interested, let me confirm.
Okay.
Whoop. Yep, April 9th. And it's going to be awesome. So please, everybody, let me know. You want to stay at a haunted hotel out in Wisconsin the night of April 9th? Let us know ASAP. And we're going to hook you up. And I guarantee you, it's going to be awesome.
It will be.
No doubt about it. Hello, Pam. Hello, Mike. People are cruising by. Got to hit some likes. Do you want to hit some likes?
I can hit likes too.
Or do you want to, maybe you want to start telling a story? What?
Well, yeah, we can start. I'll start with I got a couple. I'll start with my small one.
But we have a topic, right?
We do. Our topic is basically encounters, just like last week. Last week, Russ and I talked, if you tuned in, just about different things that occurred, that happened to us. And now we're kind of branching out.
Yes.
So we're going to other states. I'm going to go to Germany with one.
Ooh-wee.
Yeah, so I'm taking it out of the country.
Nice. That's nice.
That's my longer one.
Okay,
And,
okay.
But I want to talk about the one in Montana. So we had a month's school that a few of us went to from Camp Ripley at it was Fort Harrison and
What are we? You move up a little bit. I'll move back a little bit.
in Fort Harrison in Helena, Montana, and it was a month-long school, and we had weekends off too, so that was pretty nice. We went to Glacier National Park and whitewater rafting in Yellowstone, and hi Wanda, Paul, whoever is there.
I'll do this.
And then
Let's switch chairs.
okay, let's switch chairs.
Because that way I can do the writing.
Oh dear.
Holy buckets. The place is falling apart.
Yeah, that's why we can't.
This
have
is a
good things.
this is a very short chair.
Yeah.
I need to get you a new chair. This is ridiculous.
All right,
Okay,
I gotta
sorry.
come this way. Okay, so we stayed in this place called the Lodge, and I was kind of finishing up. We went to Yellowstone, went to ghost towns. It was a blast. We had a good time, but that lodge was haunted, and So some of the things that happened was you'd hear women screaming, and you could go all around that place and can't find anything. Like you'd get close to where you think it is, and then it would sound like it would come from somewhere else. Because when I first heard it, I was concerned. I'm like, well, holy crap, somebody's getting, I don't know, murdered. And then doors would slam, and just the uneasy feeling there, like you're being watched. But the biggest thing that happened while I was there was, there we are.
This is crazy.
So the biggest thing that happened while I was there is I was was sleeping, and I woke up in the middle of the night, and it could have been around that 3 o'clock time frame where all the things happen. And I woke up to feeling an immense weight on me. Like I felt like something like 500 pounds was just sitting on me, and it would push me deep into the bed. And so I could hardly breathe. It's kind of a shock. So I suppose it's kind of like sleep paralysis, but so I was like, yeah, this thing sucks, because I could feel the negative coming off of it too, and I'm like, just really like squeaked it out. I'm like, get out of me in Jesus' name. I was just like, and this thing popped off me, and I could actually hear the bed creak as I came back up out of so it had pushed me like a foot or two into the springs, and I just came lifting up, and I was like, wow, it's pretty trippy. So I mean, yeah, some weird things happened, but overall that trip was a lot of fun.
Oh my gosh.
Well, and I'll have to say too, I had the best Mediterranean food in that town in the middle of the mountains, and we heard the best reggae band too, so it was a cool experience.
Nice. Hey, I am just going crazy with all the activity on the comment line here. I can't even keep up. Thanks, everybody. Hey, I appreciate it a ton. And yeah, we got, I can't keep up. Do you want to switch?
Yeah, let's switch. Okay.
We got Anna out there. We got Mitch and Mike and Jerry, and comments coming in like hot sauce on French fries.
Oh!
Whoa, my gosh, Mark. We got it. Things are getting wild.
I don't know why, but my knee just totally...
Just waxed
That's
out?
why this thing's got to be
Yeah.
short, because...
Yeah, well, that's weird. You're kind of a big fella. But... Now, my story. Okay, which one am I going to tell first? But that was an awesome story. And mine is, a similar story of being out on the road, so to speak. And Mark and I are both military, so we have a tendency to tell military stories. And because we're traveling around the countryside with our duties, and we're both retired now, Mm-hmm. But hey,
I probably can't say mine because I'm so pale.
I see it. But anyway, so I want to talk a little bit about what I call the haunted ambulance story. And this is one of my favorites because it's also a learning lesson too. This story, I was down in Texas, and we were with a large military organization at the time. We're doing some training down there, and somebody comes up to me and says, "Hey, I think we need your help. There was a crew that was out last night in the ambulance, and they had some horrible dreams." Hello, Julie. They just, not just horrible dreams that change the temperature of your skin. They're so frightening. You wake up and you flush and you're full of sweat, and they were just horrified. But the thing was, there's 2 people sleeping in the back of this ambulance. That's where they sleep sometimes when they're not on duty, because they are always on call, right?
Those medics always slept in the back of those.
Always, yeah.
I was so jealous of them half the time.
I know, and they're... But anyway, so they wake up in the morning, and the one looks at the other one and says, "Boy, your face sure is white." it looked like you seen a ghost. And the other one says to the other one, you ought to see your face. You look horrified. And they're like, they find out after talking for not more than a few minutes, they both had the same exact horrifying dream of things that they would not even re-explain to the group. But anyway, next thing you know, so I'm walking across this large field, and I've got to walk quite a ways to get where the people are that are in the ambulance crews. And I finally get to them, and I said, hey, this is Russ, I'm with Search4Spirits, and I heard you guys were looking for me. And they're like, yes, stay right here. And next thing you know, they're leading me to one of the ambulances. And a small crowd is starting to gather around. And immediately upon getting there, I get a vision right off the bat. And I turned around and I said to the one person that was with the ambulance, I said, did anybody pick something up? I said, I'm sensing that somebody picked up a rock, a flower, something. And I said, that's what I'm sensing. That's the energy I feel. No. And the other person was there now by this time. And we asked them and said, no, we didn't pick up nothing. And all of a sudden there was a lady, a soldier that was back just a few steps. And she steps up and she was friends with the lady that was driving the ambulance. And she says, do you remember yesterday morning? She says, I picked that flower. And I gave it to you in the morning. We were just teasing around. I gave it to you and I said, have a good day. And you pinned it on your collar or you set it on the ambulance there in the front. And I said, that's what it is. I said, there's no doubt. I knew it was a flower or a rock or something. And just by matter of coincidence, this little object had been picked up. Wrong place, wrong time. There was a spirit that maybe, I bet it could have died back in the 1700s, 1800s, who knows. Unmarked grave, still in the vicinity. And when they picked that flower, it was too close.
Maybe right underneath.
Maybe it was right over the top of this unmarked grave. Who knows? And it was upset. And so that night, when they went to bed, they had horrifying dreams. And but I walked up in the ambulance. They said that the flower had since been thrown out. And I said a few words by the ambulance. And I said, I think you're good to go. I don't feel it anymore. It was just the spirit letting you know that you were messing around at the wrong place. And so it tagged them and made them have a nasty, nasty nightmare. But that's my story. That's the haunted ambulance story. And and them two will, I tell you what, they will never forget that experience they had.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, goodness. Hey, Todd, how you doing?
And that really shows that it doesn't take much to have something happen.
No, because that's a common theme where people pick something up, and sometimes people even will pick flowers or something from a cemetery, and they have horrible experiences.
Yeah.
So be very careful where you pick up flowers and etc., because you just never know. Make sure you got a safe spot.
I've cut mushrooms out of cemeteries and eaten them.
Oh, my goodness.
It's that chicken of the woods.
Yep.
Yeah, just fry it up with a little butter.
So what's the other story?
All right, so I'm going to set it up a little bit. This is while I was stationed in Germany when I was active duty. And so we had 30 days of leave a year. And I took 14 of it, 15 of it, whatever, to take a trip down to, it's a town called Berchtesgaden. It's kind of right on the Austrian border, kind of near Salzburg. Mm-hmm. And so the place I was staying was this old hotel that was up on the mountain, and the place is called Obersalzberg. And it has a long history, but part of that history is Hitler in the, I think the 20s and 30s went up there and he built his home. Himmler built like all of the big generals and all that had homes up there. There were tunnel systems and and like artillery setup or anti-aircraft stuff set up. One of his, I'm trying to think which guy, Hess or Himmler or whatever, convinced him to build that eagle's nest. So it was basically a tea house up on top of the mountain. There were SS barracks. So this big old hotel was there a long time before Hitler came. But when Hitler took it over, he took it over. He decided that he was going to bring guests there. Not for the local people anymore, just like whoever he wanted to impress. It's this big old drafty hotel, and so this is where I go and stay. I had, like 2 weeks, and I planned to go skiing in Austria and go to see Salzburg and Berchtesgaden and just, travel around that little area. And so it's in the middle of winter. The mountains are gorgeous, snow-clad. This big, sulky hotel. It reminds me of the hotel in the movie of The Shining.
Oh, Stanley?
Well, that's the Overlook, but
yep.
But yeah, I like that. I mean, it's just big and brooding, and I was one of the few people there. It was kind of March. It was March, so it was this time of year, 1988. But so there wasn't as many people that staying there, to go skiing and whatever. So it was at night. It was creepy. Yeah, daytime was sunny and bright, ski slopes, Salzburg. It was all great.
Right.
But at night, I mean, you walk the halls and you're like, oh my God, somebody's gonna murder me in this place. Yeah, it was crazy. And then, make sure when I went to bed, I'd lock all the doors, and it was a really creepy place. So the first night I was there, I decided to not dine there because I thought it was too expensive. And so I walked down the hill, and it was at a weird spot. It was like in an intersection. The road came up the mountain from Berchtesgaden. It went down to another hotel, and then the road went up to the Eagle's Nest. And it was a lot of snow. So I went down there and I walked into. Are we still going?
Oh yeah,
okay.
Yep.
So I walked into this restaurant there, and I sat down, and there was nobody in there. And all of a sudden, this loud music came on. It was German, like drinking music. It was like, hey, 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 and it scared the crap out of me. These two women came out behind the bar. It looked like a mother and daughter. I ordered soup and a beer, and it came with a little hard bread. And every night I did that. I'd walk down. It was like $5. It was cheap. Every night this guy would walk by in a trench coat with a Doberman pincer. Like this dark figure would walk by the windows. I'm like, oh, that's really weird. Considering we're like right by the old SS barracks. We're just up the hill. So I saw that guy every night. Don't know where he came from.
Wow.
It was always dark.
So you just saw him just on dark nights? Or?
Well, I only ate there at night. So
okay, yeah.
It was always dark. Night falls early up there, anywhere in the winter.
Right.
But, yeah, I would see him every freaking night walk by. And I'm like, that's so weird. And I just, you just walking back, you just feel nervous. And a lot of history, a lot of dark stuff going on up there.
Well, everything in Germany and Europe is just like 1,000 years older than it is.
So yeah,
in America, it's
so
just
much history, yep, and death, and and the Nazis weren't obviously that great of people. Well, anyways, so fast forward, I had a couple of sort of nervous weeks there. That last night I was there, so I walked back down to that restaurant, and after 2 weeks of eating there, it was closed. I'm like, that's really weird. So I'm like, what the heck? I'm going to walk down to that phone booth, and I'm going to call my parents. And so I go down there. It's one of those yellow phone booth, snow piled on top. It was really cool.
That's like a scary movie.
It was, yeah. I wish I would have had a picture.
Mom?
Yeah. Mom, I'm gonna die here.
This is the last time we're going to talk.
That's right, the will and testament, yeah. So I'm talking to them, but I don't let them know that this whole place is like, scaring the hell out of me the whole time. But so when I leave the phone booth, I'm night blind. And as I'm walking up towards this hotel, the roads around it, I'm getting up alongside of it, and I hear what I thought was my footsteps. And it went, so I would like go crunch, crunch, and I could hear the echo. Yeah, and so the mountainside was just right up to my left, and the building was to my right. And I'm like, but this is weird. I had a weird feeling. So I took, instead of 2 steps, I took 3 steps. Crunch, crunch, crunch. And it went crunch, crunch. And I'm like, holy crap. And I ran. Of course, I ran the way I shouldn't have, but I ran past and up the hill. And I stopped and turned around, and this dark shape drifted like behind the building from where I came. So there was something there. And yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Run from one scary spot to another.
Right, and I'm like 18 years old, so
that's frightening.
I mean, I had encountered things before that, but so what did I see? I don't know. I mean, was there a human there? Was it a spirit? I don't know, but it was an interesting, kind of a scary 2 weeks. I had a blast. It was great, but
nice. Yeah, I mean, there are frightening spots in America, but there's a lot of history and horrifying spots overseas too.
It is, for sure.
A lot of shows on that out there, and what a great opportunity for you to experience it as well. All right, so I'm going to kick off. I'm going to talk about what do we got left? Plenty of minutes. I'm going to talk about a couple shorter, quick ones. One of the times that we were traveling out to Washington, we went out to Washington, we went to the San Juan Islands, and we're traveling. We got this little travel van, and we're on the way home when this happens. I'm driving along, and there's this kind of work van. It's got some words and stuff on it. Maybe it's plumbing. I don't know what it was. But there's a work van that's right along beside us. And I'm looking over, and I see a guy driving, and I see a guy in the passenger seat. And that's nothing that is supernatural per se, but I suddenly realize, when I take a double look, that in the passenger seat, it's just the head. There was no body on it. There was no body on the head that was in the passenger seat of that little truck. And I'm like, I just about was floored, about crashed my van. And no, actually, I held it pretty steady. But I look over one more time, and I'm like, who is that? Who is that? Why is there a head there?
So what did the head look like?
The head it was hardly even see-through. It was fully figured, And but it was just like looking off to the side, like it was just riding along. And when I said, who is that, or whatever I said, something to that effect, who is that, I heard that spirit say, brother. It was his brother that had died and was still hanging out with his brother on the job. And I don't know. That was pretty freaky to me. That was the first time I've seen it on the road. And like I say, we see different shadows and things like that. But that head had just as much color as my face does right now. Just ended at the neck here. And that was that. And that was weird.
And he wasn't really carrying his weight on that job.
He wasn't helping out a lot.
No.
But he was just riding along. He just staring off out the front window like he was just the passenger, like he probably was a million times before.
Supernatural road trip.
Yeah, and that was weird. And that's kind of a short one. The second one I want to talk about a little bit is about my trip back from Missouri. I was down in Missouri. That was a trip I made by myself that time. I was in the van. It's a long trip when you're driving by yourself. And I'm on the way home. And finally, I was, you get frustrated sometimes when you're driving because, there's nowhere to pull over. There's not a good rest stop. There's not this, there's not that. I'm just feeling a little bit irritated because I didn't know where to stop. It was lunchtime, past lunch, I'm hungry. And I'm like, God, can you help me here quick? Help me find a spot to eat soon because I am just starving. And I just suddenly felt like, I absolutely trust that God's going to help me right now. It seems like a very simple thing to ask, like, help me find a place to eat and stop. And I'm going for a little bit, and in my mind, I picture a cross. And I'm like, why am I picturing a cross? Am I heading to a church, or where am I heading? And I'm driving, about a mile goes by, 2 miles, and in the 3rd mile, I'm driving along, and I see a cross in the ditch. And I knew immediately that I was stopping on the side of the road of the highway where that cross was in the ditch. I just knew it, I don't know why stuff like that. That's how the supernatural works. I knew I was stopping at that cross, and I knew why I was stopping there. In this particular incident, there was a spirit. There was this person who had been in an accident, and his spirit had not lifted from that spot. It had not gone anywhere. For some reason, it was at that spot. And I parked the van over as far as I could, and I got out and I facilitated a crossover. At that cross, I'm standing out in the ditch. People are driving by. They don't know what's going on. Maybe they thought I knew the guy or something. It didn't really matter to me what they thought one way or the other. And I got back in the van after saying a few words and a prayer. I have a quick sandwich. I hit the phone. I put the GPS back on. I'm back on the road. And immediately, my GPS takes me off-road. Next thing you know, I'm on this gravel road. I'm driving for miles. It was just ridiculous. I'm like, what is wrong with my GPS? It's ridiculous. And I come to a stop at a stop sign, and there's a different road there, a tar road. Finally, I'm like, finally a tar road. And I glance off to the right, just off that gravel road on that corner, there's a second cross. So it wasn't just one stop, there was 2 stops.
Yep, got to stop and do business. Yeah, take care of it.
And I got out and I facilitated another crossover, said another couple prayers, and no doubt in my mind that the supernatural energy was running that GPS that day. And because I hit the GPS, next thing you know, I circled back and eventually ended up back on the highway that I originally was on to begin with. But the GPS had drugged me all the way to that cross. So I could facilitate that crossover, say a prayer, that spirit's rising into the light, and we're back in business, and we're on the way home again.
That's cool.
That's how the supernatural works. I don't know how to say it. Those experiences we have all the time, we could tell 50 stories like that. You got another short one you want to tell?
I was thinking of a hotel I stayed at, and I was trying to remember where it was. But in that one, I encountered. So I woke up in the middle of the night, and I was looking up, and I saw this big demonic face looking down at me.
Ick.
And in that same period of time too, there was like a vent high up on the wall, and I woke up to it streaming this black goo.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, weird things out there in those.
And the energy you feel is just different, and when it's different.
Yeah.
Somebody might stay in a hotel room
Never.
one night and never experience a single thing. Nobody might expect nothing in 30 days of staying at the hotel. And then the next night, all of a sudden, that's the night.
Yeah. That's interesting.
And that's how roads, hotel rooms, houses, haunted locations, that's how they work a lot of times. Trails. We've been on trails. You can walk down the trail, middle of the night.
And
no flashlight, don't care.
Nothing.
The next minute you got lights and action and a handful of people and even a group of people are too darn scared to walk down that trail because the energy is there right now.
It changes, yeah.
Yeah. It's a kind of a wake-up call all of a sudden. But, all right, I'll tell one more little one there that'll kind of wrap us up. And this one is hidden in my thing here. Okay. This is kind of a story that isn't a topic that I bring up that often. I don't talk about this that often. I haven't done enough research on it yet to really even understand it myself. But I have been traveling around the country over the years, and when I get on location at certain locations, I will have a dream that night where a group of people will introduce themselves to me as proprietors of the land, so to speak, as the counselors of the ground that I'm visiting. And one incident was when I was in Minneapolis. I had stopped in Minneapolis. I was only there for a short time. And lo and behold, I went to bed that night, and 5 ladies visited me in my dream. But it really wasn't a dream. It was more of a vision dream. But they showed me where they were sitting, and there was kind of a table there, and there was 5 of them, and they're all facing the same direction. And they indicated to me that they were somewhat of a jury almost. I just felt like they were supernaturally controlling some of the things that were going on in Minneapolis. And that's a hard concept to understand, but we've run into this before where we run into a situation where there's spirits who have died and they're working together in their dimension, so to speak. And in the past, we've called them light hubs, dark hubs. And sometimes they're like a little city council, so to speak.
Almost like a panel
of people.
Of judges or something like that, yeah.
And they have no problem if they know you are sensitive to them, and they're going to tell you, just letting you know, you're on my turf.
And they're not always nice.
They're not always nice. I mean, they weren't mean ever to me, but they were stern. And I ran into a very large group down in Texas of deceased, and both times, in the 2 cases I'm talking about specifically, they were groups of women. And the one that was down in Texas, they were inhabiting a very large old building. And they let me know that, hey, you have now entered our zone, our frequency. And we're here, and we're not out to scare you, but we're letting you know. And Minneapolis, it was only 5. And it was a much smaller group, but the same exact thing. Hey, you have entered our zone, and just letting you know. And actually, the 5 in Minneapolis, I ended up going back there on a different date, and I just kind of explained to them, I think it's a good idea if you cross over into the light. And I did some reading out of the Bible, and I just felt that it's tough enough to handle life the way it is, but to have all these people that haven't crossed into the light and they're trying to maintain some type of business, that can really get messy.
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes they're helping, but sometimes the help might not be that helpful.
Right.
So, but anyway, that's something that I don't talk about a lot. That's a topic that I usually have more personally with people because I have a lot of views. Mark and I got a lot of opinions, but you know what? We're very open. That's the key to this business, ain't it?
It is. So to answer Pam's question, that next live at that hotel that we were talking about is on the 20th.
Yes, we are going to have a live event on 20 April from the hotel. And that's a Wednesday night. So on that week, and I'll put it out, instead of having the Tuesday night, we're going to have a Wednesday night instead. And but next week is all normal, right?
Yeah. So one thing we had talked about maybe as a topic for next week is UFO stuff. So things that Russ and I have experienced, interviews that we've held.
Yes.
So that's kind of what we're thinking.
Would anybody like to hear us talk about UFOs? I mean, we've had a few experiences. We'd like to hear other people's experiences. Hey, next week, you got an experience you want to tell? Put it down on the comments here, and we'll talk about yours too while we're talking about ours.
Yeah.
It'll be a good time.
It will. Another thought I had, kind of based off this, we've had a lot of experiences down in Iowa.
Yeah.
And I was thinking of telling some of that, but, some of it's even time warp things that we could even just talk about that sometime.
Yes. Hello, Shannon. Yeah, I mean, Iowa could be a whole story in itself too.
Yeah. We've got plenty of time for it.
Now, you were doing some math, and you said, when would be our 50th show if we did this every Tuesday?
The 10th of January if we keep going.
The 10th of January. I guess I wonder a little bit is, are people going to be too busy in the summer to jot on a Tuesday night? People are still working, right, and stuff, and, so Tuesday, do you guys think Tuesday nights through the summer we should keep going? Or should we take a break? What do you guys think? You let us know in the comments. And
yeah, we'll see what we do.
So that's the questions for this week. UFO show? Yes, no? And I completely drowned in my mind. Summertime. Should we go all summer long? I think we should, personally.
I think we should too.
It's going to be fun. And Melissa and a few of our other investigators will be joining us at the hotel on Wednesday the 20th. And we've got a lot of stories to tell. All right, so hello, Jackie. Same night, same time, she says. Keep it rolling.
Perfect. Thanks, Jackie.
I'm all about it. All right, we got plenty of topics. Mark's been jotting stuff down. I got stuff down. And next week, UFOs. Tuesday night, 7 p.m. We're all about it.
Yeah, we'll see you there.
Thanks for coming tonight.
Yeah,
thanks for, we had a real nice group tonight. A lot of comments. You guys have a great, blessed night.
Bye now.